There's something fascinating about jealousy. It's one of those emotions that can expose what a man truly feels, even when he tries to hide it behind a calm face. Most women think jealousy is a sign of love, or that it only appears when a man is insecure. But the truth is deeper, much deeper. A man only feels real jealousy when two emotions, powerful, conflicting, and almost uncontrollable, collide inside him. That's the moment when something changes in his eyes, in his silence, and in his behavior. And you've probably seen it before, haven't you? That sudden tension when another man approaches you. The way he goes quiet, or starts over-explaining things he never cared about before. He might laugh it off, but his tone changes. His body stiffens, his attention sharpens, and you can feel that shift in the air, that invisible energy that tells you he's no longer comfortable. That's real jealousy. Not the childish kind where he checks your phone or questions every message, but the kind that takes over him before he even realizes it. It's silent, subtle, and intense, and it doesn't come from insecurity alone. It's born when two deep emotions mix inside him. One makes him protective, the other makes him afraid. You see, jealousy is not just about the fear of losing you. It's about the fear of losing his place in your world. Because to a man, his emotional connection to you is like territory, invisible but sacred. When another person walks too close to that space, it threatens the image he built in his mind. The image where he's the one you choose, the one you trust, the one you admire. And when that illusion feels at risk, even the most rational man begins to feel something raw awaken inside him. His chest tightens, his thoughts race, and every instinct tells him, protect what's yours. But here's the secret. It's not really about control. It's about value. A man only feels jealousy when he realizes, consciously or not, that you have value that he could actually lose. That's why some women never trigger real jealousy in a man, no matter what they do, because he doesn't feel like there's anything truly special to lose. But when he sees you as unique, when your presence calms him, challenges him, and excites him, then jealousy becomes almost inevitable. It's not because he wants to own you. It's because for the first time he feels replaceable. And that word, replaceable, is poison to a man's pride. He can handle distance. He can handle arguments. But the idea that someone else could make you smile the way he does, that burns. Because suddenly he's no longer in control of how he's seen in your eyes. So when you notice his energy shift, when his tone hardens for no reason, when he asks questions that seem random, pay attention. He's not trying to control you. He's trying to understand what he's feeling. That tension, that mix of fear and admiration, is the first sign that jealousy has started to grow. But what exactly are those two emotions that trigger this storm inside him? What makes him, even without realizing, begin to compare himself, to overthink, to doubt? Because it's not just fear, and it's not just love. It's something far more primal, a combination that exposes his deepest emotional wiring. And once you understand these two emotions, you'll see every man differently. You'll recognize when his silence isn't distance, it's jealousy. When his indifference isn't real, it's defense. When his calmness hides something he's fighting inside. By the end of this video, you'll understand not only why he feels this way, but also how you can recognize it, and what it truly says about the connection he has with you. Because jealousy, when it's real, is not about possession, it's about vulnerability. And that's something most men will never admit, even to themselves. Let me tell you a story. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic arguments. It's about the small moments, the kind that quietly reveal what a man truly feels but can't say out loud. There was a woman named Claire. She had been dating Adam for almost 2 years. Their relationship was calm, built on routine and comfort. They laughed together, shared meals, and spent weekends doing the same things. To anyone looking from the outside, they seemed perfectly fine. But there was something missing, something neither of them talked about anymore. In the beginning, Adam was attentive. He would text her just to say he missed her. He noticed when she changed her hair, when she wore something new, when her mood was off. But over time, he became distant, not in a cruel way, just detached. He assumed she would always be there, so he stopped paying attention. Claire loved him, but she started to feel invisible. She wanted to be seen again, not just as his girlfriend, but as a woman who still had light in her eyes. So one evening, she decided to go out with a few friends from work. Nothing special, just dinner and a few drinks. But that night, something subtle changed. One of her co-workers, Daniel, was there. He was kind, funny, and genuinely curious about her. He listened. He noticed the details Adam no longer did. When she laughed, he looked at her the way a man looks when he truly sees someone, not because he wants to impress her, but because he's captivated. Claire didn't flirt. She wasn't trying to provoke anything. But when she got home later that night, Adam noticed something. Her energy was different. She was smiling to herself, lighter somehow, and she didn't rush to check her phone like usual. She went straight to shower and hummed a song under her breath. Something inside him shifted. He didn't ask her who she was with. He didn't accuse her of anything, but his chest felt tight. That strange mix of curiosity and unease that comes when you sense you're no longer the only one on someone's mind. He tried to brush it off, but it stayed. The next morning, he caught himself scrolling through her social media, something he hadn't done in months. He looked at the comments under her new photo, and there it was. Daniel had left one. Something harmless, polite even. But to Adam, it didn't feel harmless. It felt like a spark he couldn't control. That's when it hit him. That deep, sharp sting he couldn't explain. He wasn't angry at her. He wasn't even angry at Daniel. He was angry at himself, because for the first time, he realized he had stopped fighting for her attention, and someone else might have started to appreciate what he took for granted. For days, he acted strange, more present, but also more quiet. He started noticing the way she laughed again. He offered to help her with things he never cared about before. He even mentioned how beautiful she looked when she wasn't trying, but she could feel the tension behind his words, that invisible thread of jealousy that had finally awakened. He didn't say it, but his eyes did. Every time her phone lit up, he glanced. Every time she mentioned a coworker, his tone changed. Not enough to accuse, but enough to reveal what was really happening inside him. He had always believed he was too confident to feel jealous, too rational, too in control. But now, all those ideas melted. He realized jealousy wasn't about weakness. It was about losing the certainty that she belonged emotionally to him, not by force, but by choice. And what made that jealousy real wasn't just fear, it was admiration. He saw her differently now, not as the woman who was always available, but as the woman who could still attract attention without even trying. That's what changed everything. Because when admiration and fear mix, jealousy is born. Admiration makes him value you. Fear makes him imagine losing you. Together they create that emotional chaos that makes a man rethink everything. Adam didn't know how to express it. He didn't yell. He didn't start a fight. But something in his behavior shifted completely. He started texting her again just to say he was thinking of her. He began planning small surprises. Coffee at her favorite place, random compliments, random hugs. Not because she asked, but because something inside him woke up. That silent realization that she wasn't his by default. That's the kind of jealousy that reveals the truth about a man. It's not the toxic kind filled with accusations or control. It's the quiet kind, the one that comes from suddenly remembering the value of what you could lose. And most men don't understand it until it's too late. Claire didn't need to make him jealous on purpose. Life did it for her. All she did was remind him that she still had her own light, a light that others could see too. And in that moment, he rediscovered what it meant to want her again, not out of habit but out of genuine emotion. That's when he started showing love in ways she hadn't seen in months. Because sometimes, a man only realizes how much he feels when jealousy forces him to face the truth that the woman he thought he already had might not be his forever. To understand what really happens inside a man when jealousy takes over, you first have to realize that jealousy itself isn't the emotion. It's the result of two powerful feelings crashing into each other. And when those two collide, they create a reaction that even the most controlled man can't fully hide. The first emotion is admiration. The second is fear. Admiration is what makes him value you, what makes him see you as rare, irreplaceable, magnetic. It's the emotion that drives desire and connection. When a man admires a woman, he doesn't just want her body. He wants her essence, the energy that makes her different from everyone else. Admiration is what makes him proud to be next to you, to show you off, to invest time and effort because deep down, he feels lucky. He sees your strength, your confidence, your kindness, your mystery, and all of it feeds his emotional attachment. But admiration alone doesn't cause jealousy. It only becomes jealousy when fear enters the picture. Fear that someone else might see the same things he sees. Fear that another man might notice your laugh, your intelligence, your warmth. Fear that you might start seeing yourself through new eyes. and realize you deserve more than what he's been giving you. When admiration and fear mix, something inside him short-circuits. He becomes hyper-aware. Every glance you give, every text you receive, every smile you share suddenly feels loaded with meaning. Not because he doesn't trust you, but because he no longer trusts the safety of his place in your heart. That's the essence of male jealousy. It's not about control, it's about status and emotional status. Men are wired to measure their worth through significance. Am I still the one she chooses? Am I still the reason she smiles? When he senses the answer might no longer be yes, jealousy takes root, and the more he admires you, the stronger that fear becomes. Because the more valuable you are to him, the more devastating the idea of losing you feels. That's why confident men, the ones who seem secure and composed, can still experience jealousy in silence. They won't admit it, but it hits them harder, precisely because they're used to being in control. You can see it in small gestures. He becomes protective without realizing it. He stands a little closer when other men are around. He compliments you more, but sometimes with a tension in his tone, as if he's reminding both of you that he still matters. He'll suddenly remember the details he used to ignore, start listening more carefully, and ask subtle questions that sound casual, but are really his way of gathering emotional information. Inside his mind, a battle begins. Part of him wants to stay calm, rational, mature, but the other part, the instinctive emotional part, feels threatened. That part starts creating stories, imagining possibilities, trying to predict outcomes that don't even exist. That's why jealousy feels so confusing to a man. It makes him act in ways that contradict his logic. He can't find peace because admiration keeps reminding him of what he loves, while fear keeps reminding him of what he could lose. This emotional storm is different from the possessive jealousy of an immature man. It's more subtle, more psychological. An insecure man feels jealous because he doubts his own value. A man who truly loves feels jealous because he realizes your value, and the idea of losing it terrifies him. That's a crucial difference. And here's where it gets even deeper. When a man admires a woman, he builds part of his identity around her presence. He starts associating her with his sense of stability, his sense of peace, even his sense of masculinity. She becomes part of the picture of who he is. So when fear enters that space, it's not just about losing her, it's about losing himself. That's why jealousy feels so primal. It threatens not only his heart, but also his ego, his pride, his entire emotional balance. For a woman, it's often easier to separate love from fear. She can love deeply and still keep her sense of individuality. But for a man, the line is blurrier. When he chooses someone emotionally, he ties part of his self-worth to that bond. So when something threatens it, even slightly, his mind reacts as if it's a survival issue. This explains why some men shut down when they feel jealous. They don't explode, they retreat. They become quieter, more distant, as if they're processing something heavy. What they're really doing is fighting between pride and vulnerability. Pride tells them, don't show it, don't care. But vulnerability whispers, what if she's slipping away? That conflict can make a man behave unpredictably. One moment he's affectionate, the next he's cold. One day he wants to talk, the next he avoids eye contact. He's not trying to manipulate you. He's trying to regain emotional control. But he doesn't realize that the more he fights it, the stronger those emotions grow. Now, the reason this matters so much is because jealousy, when understood correctly, reveals the depth of a man's feelings. If he never feels it at all, it usually means he's emotionally detached. But if he feels it in a way that's quiet, respectful, and introspective, it means you matter. It means his emotions are truly invested. When admiration and fear meet, they create awareness. Awareness of how much he values you. Awareness of how fragile connection can be. An awareness of how easily something precious can fade when it's taken for granted. That's why many relationships wake up after jealousy appears. Because it's a shock to the system, a reminder of value, effort, and presence. It forces him to reflect on what he's been neglecting. It pushes him to show love not just through words, but through action. But if he doesn't handle it well, jealousy can also destroy what it's trying to protect. When fear outweighs admiration, it becomes insecurity. When admiration outweighs fear, it becomes longing. The balance between both is what defines whether jealousy turns into growth or control. A man who understands this balance doesn't deny jealousy. He learns from it. He recognizes it as a message. Wake up. You care. Don't lose what you love. And when he chooses to act from admiration instead of fear, that's when true emotional maturity appears. Because in the end, jealousy isn't about who's texting you, who's looking at you, or who's around you. It's about what's happening inside him, the invisible struggle between gratitude and panic, between confidence and doubt. And that struggle always reveals one truth. A man only feels real jealousy when he knows he has something, or someone, he cannot replace. Jealousy can reveal truth, but it can also destroy everything if it's misunderstood. When admiration and fear start to blend inside a man, the outcome depends entirely on which emotion takes control. If admiration wins, he becomes more attentive, more protective, more emotionally available. But if fear dominates, he becomes distant, defensive, or even cold, because he feels powerless. And a man who feels powerless can turn love into withdrawal. That's why the way a woman responds in those moments matters more than she realizes. When a man's jealousy starts to surface, she has two choices. She can see it as a threat, something to fight against, or she can see it as a mirror, showing how deeply he actually feels. Because beneath the discomfort, jealousy is still proof of emotional involvement. The danger begins when jealousy goes unspoken. Most men won't admit it. They'll bury it under logic, humor, or silence. But silence has consequences. When he doesn't process that mix of admiration and fear, it starts to change how he sees you. He begins to guard himself, not because you did anything wrong, but because the fear of being replaced becomes unbearable. He starts creating distance, convincing himself that caring less will protect him. He tells himself he's fine, that he's above it, yet every time you smile at your phone or mention someone else's name, that same tightness returns to his chest. He's torn between wanting to trust you and wanting to protect his pride, and that emotional split is where many relationships quietly start to fade. You see, jealousy doesn't always explode in fights. Sometimes it corrodes in silence. It shows up as indifference, distraction, short answers, or less eye contact. He stops asking questions, not because he doesn't care, but because he's afraid of the answers. And you feel it, that coldness that wasn't there before. It's not rejection, it's defense. But here's the irony. The more he hides his jealousy, the more distance he creates, and the more real his fear becomes. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. He pushes away the very person he's afraid to lose. And by the time he realizes it, the connection has already changed. That's why understanding what triggers his jealousy is so important. Because when he feels safe enough to admit it, that's when emotional honesty begins. It's not about excusing bad behavior or tolerating control. It's about recognizing the human vulnerability underneath. When a man says, "I felt jealous," what he's really saying is, "I still care. I'm afraid of losing what we have." That's not weakness. That's truth. But when he can't express it, fear grows in the dark. And fear, when left alone, transforms into stories. Mental movies where you've already left him, already chosen someone else. Those stories aren't reality, but they feel real to him. He starts reading meaning into every silence, every delay, every smile that isn't directed at him. And that's when jealousy becomes toxic. Not because of you, but because of how he interprets everything through fear. If admiration doesn't balance that fear, he loses perspective. He forgets the truth, that love isn't about control, it's about trust. He starts to compete for reassurance instead of connection. He starts needing validation instead of intimacy. And once that happens, the relationship begins to suffocate under invisible tension. But when jealousy is handled with awareness, it becomes the exact opposite, a wake-up call. It reminds him of the effort he stopped making, of the details he stopped noticing. It reminds him that your presence isn't guaranteed, that you're not his possession, and that love requires maintenance. It brings him back to gratitude, which is the antidote to fear. Because gratitude and jealousy can't exist in the same space for long. One cancels the other. When a man focuses on gratitude, on everything you bring into his life, everything he loves about you, the fear of losing you begins to fade. But when he focuses on fear, on what could go wrong, or who could replace him, gratitude disappears, and insecurity takes its place. That's why many men only realize the value of a woman after she pulls away. Not because they never cared, but because the absence of her energy forces them to feel the full weight of what they took for granted. That's when the jealousy becomes unbearable, when she's no longer there to ease it. He starts remembering every little thing he ignored, the sound of her laugh, the way she made his day lighter just by being around. And that realization hits harder than any argument ever could. For some men, that moment becomes transformation. They finally wake up, learn to love from admiration instead of fear, and become emotionally present. But for others, it becomes regret, the kind that lingers for years, whispering you had something rare and you let it slip away. And that's the silent consequence of not understanding jealousy, because jealousy itself isn't the enemy, ignorance is. When a man doesn't understand his own emotions, he becomes ruled by them. But when he learns to read them, he becomes capable of loving deeply, consciously, and freely. So if you've ever seen a man act distant for no reason, or suddenly get protective over you in small ways, don't just see the surface. Look deeper. Sometimes what you're witnessing isn't control, it's confusion. Not anger, but fear. Not possession, but care. And the way you respond in that moment can either push him deeper into fear or pull him back into admiration. Because every time a man feels jealous, the real question he's asking isn't, "Who are you talking to?" It's, "Do I still matter to you the way you matter to me?" That question, silent, raw, and unspoken, is what defines everything that comes next. Jealousy is one of the most misunderstood emotions in relationships, yet it's one of the clearest mirrors of human attachment. Most people think it's ugly, immature, or toxic, but that's only because they've seen the version that comes from insecurity. The truth is, jealousy itself isn't bad. It's neutral. It's a signal, a message from the heart saying, "Something here matters to me more than I want to admit." When a man feels real jealousy, it means something in his emotional core has been shaken. He's not just reacting to a situation, he's confronting his own vulnerability. He realizes, often for the first time, that he doesn't own your affection, your time, or your loyalty. He has to keep earning them, and that awareness can either make him grow or make him retreat. If he chooses to grow, he begins to love differently. He stops seeing you as someone he needs to control and starts seeing you as someone he's lucky to have. He becomes more present, more intentional. He learns that admiration without gratitude leads to fear, and that fear without understanding leads to distance. So instead of hiding his jealousy, he learns to translate it into care, into effort, into connection. But if he lets fear take over, the story ends differently. Fear twists everything. It makes him doubt what's real, misinterpret what's innocent, and question what's pure. And slowly, it turns love into pressure. That's why some men ruin relationships not because they stop loving, but because they love from fear instead of freedom. The difference between the two paths comes down to one thing: awareness. When a man becomes aware of what's happening inside him, he can stop reacting and start reflecting. He can pause and ask himself, "Why am I feeling this? What am I afraid of losing?" And when he finds that answer, he realizes jealousy isn't about you. It's about him. It's about his own fear of being unseen, unchosen, or unworthy. And that's where healing begins. Because the opposite of jealousy isn't indifference, it's confidence. Confidence built not from ego, but from understanding that love is a choice, not ownership. When a man truly gets that, he stops competing for your attention and starts earning your respect. He stops guarding his pride and starts guarding the connection. He stops fearing who else might see your light and starts focusing on keeping that light alive beside him. For women, this awareness is powerful too. It allows you to see beyond the surface of his behavior. You begin to recognize when jealousy is a reflection of affection, not manipulation. You can respond with empathy instead of frustration, not by excusing it, but by understanding where it comes from. And that understanding gives you control over the energy between you. Because when you know how a man's emotions really work, you stop reacting to his moods and start leading the emotional rhythm of the relationship. You understand that when admiration and fear mix inside him, he's not trying to test you. He's trying to protect something he doesn't know how to name. You can meet his silence with calm, his insecurity with reassurance, and his tension with patience. Not because you owe it to him, but because you understand how connection truly evolves. Every great relationship reaches this point, the point where emotions collide, pride resists, and both sides must decide what wins, fear or understanding. Jealousy, when faced with maturity, can either divide or deepen love. It all depends on how it's handled. If both people choose awareness, jealousy becomes a teacher. It teaches humility, the reminder that no one owns anyone, It teaches gratitude, the realization that love must be nurtured, not assumed, and it teaches presence, the awareness that every day we have to keep showing up for the people we care about. But if one person chooses ego, jealousy becomes poison. It turns affection into control and curiosity into suspicion. And when that happens, even love can't breathe, because love only survives in freedom, not fear. So the next time you notice a man acting differently, quieter, more protective, or even slightly distant, don't rush to judge it as weakness or possessiveness. Sometimes what you're witnessing is the moment he realizes just how deeply he feels for you. The moment admiration and fear collide. The moment he stops taking your presence for granted and starts fighting silently to keep it. That's real jealousy. Not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but the kind that wakes up love that was asleep. The kind that makes him look at you again with new eyes and remember, she's not mine. She's choosing to be here. And when a man understands that, when he realizes your love isn't a right but a privilege, that's when something shifts forever. He becomes more careful with his words, more intentional with his actions, and more grateful for your presence. Because the fear of losing you doesn't make him control you, it makes him cherish you. So if you've ever wondered whether a man truly feels jealousy over you, look for the quiet signs. Not the accusations, but the awareness. Not the noise, but the change. Because real jealousy doesn't shout. It listens, it learns, and it transforms. If this message resonated with you, remember to share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've ever seen this kind of jealousy in someone's eyes, that silent mix of admiration and fear, let me know in the comments. Your story might help another woman understand what's really going on behind a man's calm expression.